Hi, welcome to the Rewind the Timeline podcast, brought to you by thetimelinemachine.com. I am your host, the Timeline King. This is the show where we go back in time and we look at all the anniversaries that have happened this past week, whether it's 10 years, 25 years, 35 years, 50 years, etc. So, for this episode, this is episode 12, we'll be looking at all the anniversaries that have happened from June 18th all the way up until June 24th, 2023. So let us begin. So the first anniversary that we're taking a look at is for June 18th. This is 10 years ago. June 18th, 2013, we have the release of the novel The Ocean at the End of the Lane by Neil Gaiman. I have not read this book, so I cannot really tell you if it's good or bad, but I always like Neil Gaiman stuff. I think he's a good writer. I enjoyed his run on Sandman. I think that's one of the best comic titles that was ever made. So, and for that, I wanted to acknowledge that this guy wrote a book at some point. So, yeah, happy 10 years to The Ocean at the End of the Lane. Okay, now next is June 19th. So this is 75 years ago, June 19th, 1948, we have the birth of actress Phylicia Rashad. Rashad, previously her maiden name was Felicia Ayers, so she's known as for Claire Huxtable on The Cosby Show. She's also Ruth Lucas on Cosby, and Brenda Glover on Little Bill. So she's basically done like a lot of like Bill Cosby related productions. I actually should wonder what her thoughts are on like with everything that's happened in with Bill Cosby lately. Does she regret working for him? I imagine she does. But then again, if it wasn't for those shows, she wouldn't become the famous actress that she is now. So happy 75th birthday to Phylicia Rashad. Okay, then this is also June 19th. So this is 50 years ago, June 19th, 1973. We have the debut of the Marvel Comics character Damion Hellstrom. So Damion Hellstrom, also known as the Son of Satan, he made his first appearance on Ghost Rider #1, which was released on this day. So he's a creation of the writer Gary Frederick and artist Herb Trimp. Now, so Damion Hellstrom, so he's not he hasn't really had a lot of exposure, but he was adapted recently as part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe for the TV show Hellstrom, which made its debut on Hulu. So I think that was like a couple of years ago. So this was like before Kevin Feige really took over like Marvel Studios, and all the Marvel shows were on Disney Plus. So before that, we had some MCU shows on Netflix, and then some on Hulu. So Hulu, I think they were trying to start their own sub cinematic universe, like an adventure interfere series. So they were gonna do a Hellstrom show, a Ghost Rider show, etc. So we only had like one season of Hellstrom. I think so. I think as of right now, Hellstrom is still canon, but I mean, whether that can or can't be contradicted at some point. I mean, who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? But yeah, if you're interested in checking out, I think Hellstrom is still available on Hulu, so you can check out that show. And happy 50 years to the character of Damion Hellstrom. Okay, and then this is 25 years ago, also on June 19th. This is June 19th, 1998. We had the release of two films. We have Mulan, Disney's Mulan, and then we also have the X-Files movie. So now, yeah, Mulan, I think is a great movie. This is kind of like one of the films where we kind of get towards the end of the Disney Renaissance era. So I think the only one after this would be like Tarzan, which came out the year after. But yeah, Mulan is another great film. And this one is based off of an old Chinese legend. So they really you know the, they really use that legend, and then they showed respect to this culture. And ironically, I feel like this movie, even though it was made in the 90s, it feels a lot more progressive than the one that we had in 2000s, where it's just more about girl power and not like really telling a coherent story. So yeah, I can recommend it, the 90s Mulan. I think it's a good movie. As far as the X-Files movie, I like that as well. I'll admit I was never like a huge X-Files fan when it came out, but I thought this is like a well-made movie. This is a good movie. it kind of like really stands on its own. So there's not really much in the way of like, how much it pushes the X Files mythology. But I think both of these are good movies. So happy 25 years to Mulan and the X Files. And then also on June 19th, this is 10 years ago, June 19th, 2013, we have the death of actor James Gandolfini. Gandolfini is most famous for playing Tony Soprano on the HBO show Sopranos. So, and the story of how he died of a heart attack while visiting Rome with his family. So, and yeah, being Italian and like the fame that The Sopranos got as like an Italian show, so he was really honored like by when he came back to the U.S. So his body came back on June 23rd, 2013, and then Governor of New Jersey, Chris Christie's, also being Italian himself, he ordered all flags of all the New Jersey state buildings to be flown at half mast. So because Gandolfini himself was born in like Westwood, New Jersey. So and yeah, they really went out. Like Broadway lights were also dimmed in Gandolfini's honor on June 26th. So and yeah, and his funeral was held on June 27th. So I think this is a good actor. I think like The Sopranos is like one of the best shows on HBO. So if you haven't checked that out, I think you should check it out. Great show. And yes, sadly this guy passed away pretty soon. Like just 51, pretty young age. Yeah, but happy, well, not happy moment, but let's remember James Gandolfini's death anniversary on June 19th. All right, let's move on to June 20th now. So this is 75 years ago. This is June 20th, 1948. We have the Ed Sullivan Show. So this was originally called Toast of the Town. So and then later it was renamed the Ed Sullivan Show after the host Ed Sullivan. So this is one of the early talk shows that were made, and it was also like one of the most popular talk shows made. So this one aired every Sunday for 24 seasons, like lasted over 1,000 episodes, and this was like in the years before like reruns. So like every Sunday, this guy was like coming out with new material. So there was always like new guests, new variety skits. So this guy did a really good job, and I think you could still catch like episodes. Sample episodes on like YouTube or Tubi, Pluto. Yeah, so they're available on a lot of those apps for free if you want to check it out. So happy 75 years to the Ed Sullivan Show. And also on June 20th, this is 50 years ago, June 20th, 1973, we have the debut of the film Shaft in America. So this is, this is like one of the Shaft movies. I think, trying to think if this is the second or third one in the series. But no, I think this is the third one. So this is the one where like Shaft goes goes to Africa. And yeah, and you see this is like I saw this movie. I liked it. I thought it's like a good, fun blaxploitation movie. However, I don't think it did that well in the box office. So this was like the final Shaft movie, and then afterwards he came to TV, and then Shaft starred in like his own show. They did try to revive Shaft a couple of times. In 2000, Samuel Jackson was playing Shaft. And then I think a recent one, 2019, there was another Shaft movie that came out. Neither of them did like that well at the box office. But I mean, it is what it is. So happy 50th anniversary to Shaft in America. Sorry, Shaft in Africa. I'm stupid. Shaft in Africa. Okay. And then also on June 20th, another one. This is 35 years ago, June 20th, 1988. We have the birth of Shefali Chowdhury, who's now this actress has not been on a lot of stuff, but really her claim to fame is playing Parvati Patel in 3 of the Harry Potter movies. She was in Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, and Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. I think there was like some other actress who was playing Parvati in like Prisoner of Azkaban, so she kind of like took over the role in that time. One of the few Indian actors in the Harry Potter series. Now, what you will notice is like Parvati is traditionally an Indian last name, and Patel is like traditionally an Indian last name. So J.K. Rowling kind of just combined both of them together. So it's not really something. She did the same thing with Cho Chang. So this is very it's just very much in the J.K. Rowling style. So yeah, happy 35th birthday to Shefali Chowdhury. Okay, and then next we go to June 21st. This is 50 years ago, June 21st, 1973. We have this Miller versus California case. The decision was made on this by the Supreme Court. So the history behind this case, there was a man named Marvin Miller. So he was charged with violating California's obscenity laws. So it was alleged that he was distributing like uh, pornographic brochures. So, and this was because he was advertising his business about like selling adult films. So, and he was like distributing them through the mail. So now, and because of that, like he was arrested and he was charged on counts of like obscenity. Now, this case was like, this case was in trial for years. Like Miller tried to appeal the decision, and then the Supreme Court finally like gave their verdict, and they ruled in favor of California. So and not on Miller. Miller claimed that, oh, I have First Amendment protection. I'm allowed to. This is freedom of speech, whatever. And they said like freedom of speech is only up to a certain point. So, and then the court, what resulted in the court created this Miller test, which was like a three-step test, which would see what could be labeled as obscene. So, and then the three rules are like the average person must find the work to be pornographic. The work depicts in an offensive way sexual conduct, and then the third one, the work lacks serious literary, artistic, and political scientific value. So if you intend to distribute something, just make sure that it passes the Miller test. Otherwise, you're probably going to jail. Okay, so yeah. Now, let's another thing on June 21st. This is 10 years ago, June 21st, 2013. We have two movies. We have Monsters University that was released, and we also have World War Z. So, Monsters University is a prequel to Monsters Inc., and this is the only time that Pixar has made a prequel movie. I liked the first Monsters Inc. I thought it was a really really good movie. Monsters University though, I think it's a good effort though, but I don't feel like it doesn't match up to the original, and I think it's just a problem that you traditionally see with a lot of prequels. It's just you already know where the story's going. You know what's going to happen. There's not enough surprises here that can that make it justify its existence. Although I think there is effort showing in how these characters grow. Mike and Scully are like the polar opposites of where they were in Monsters Inc. So seeing that how they become the people that they are, I think at least the movie does a good job in like showing that. World War Z, on the other hand, man, I absolutely hated this movie. Even though for some reason it was really successful, I think it made like a lot of money at the box office, like 600 million or something. So World War Z, I hate to say that it's based off of a book, because really, aside from the title, it has nothing in common. So there's a book called World War Z by Max Brooks, right? Or was it Max Allen Collins? And anyway, like some guy wrote a book called World War Z. So, and it was about like humans, zombies, and stuff like that. So I read the book. I think it's a great book. One of my favorite books ever. So, and then so I heard that they made a movie about this, and I saw the movie, and it's like there's nothing in common with the book. Like really, just the title. The movie is just like a generic zombie action movie. It's not even. It has none of like the humor or charm that the book has. And just as like a generic action zombie movie, if you want something to pass the time, fine, go ahead and see it. But yeah, I mean, you shouldn't have called it like World War Z when it has like nothing to do with the book. So yeah. But anyway, so happy 10th anniversary to Monsters University and World War Z. All right, now let's move on to June 22nd. This is 50 years ago, June 22nd, 1973. We have the birth of television personality Carson Daly. Now Carson Daly is like a host. He's hosted a bunch of shows. Total Request Live, TRL on MTV. So he hosted that from 1998 to 2003. Then he did Last Call with Carson Daly. He hosted that for many years, from 2002 all the way to 2019. And then he also did New Year's Eve with Carson Daly. That one he did all the way up until 2020. So yeah, this I think he's a good host. Used to watch TRL when I was a kid. Used to watch Carson Daly. If I ever managed to stay up that late, the show was on at like 1 o'clock. So yeah, I think this guy's a good host. And yeah, happy 50th birthday to Carson Daly. Okay, and then also on June 22nd, this is also 50 years ago, June 22nd, 1973, we have the screen debut of actor John Rhys-Davies. So he made his debut in the British film Penny Gold, which was released on this day. I saw Penny Gold. I think I personally didn't like it, but it's like a 70s detective movie, so I basically couldn't understand it. But if you want to check this out, like John Rhys-Davies appears in like this brief scene that I put right here, where he's in the locker room. So he just has like one line, like, "Oh, you have an injury, chap," or something like that. Yeah, but this is how John Rhys-Davies began, and then he later became known for playing Gimli in the Lord of the Rings trilogy, and then he also played Salah in the Indiana Jones franchise. So, and then there's another Indiana Jones movie coming out next week, so probably fitting that like he kind of reprises that role in that movie. So I've heard the Indiana Jones movie isn't that good, but I mean, but that's not the issue now. So anyway, it's okay. So this is 50 years ago. So happy 50th anniversary to the debut of John Rhys-Davies. Okay. So let's move on. Now, also on June 22nd, this is 35 years ago, June 22nd, 1988, we have the debut of the film Who Framed Roger Rabbit. So Roger Rabbit uh, was done by Amblin Entertainment. So, and I think it was Robert Zemeckis who directed this movie. So this is like a hybrid animation mixed with live action. When and what I really like about Roger Rabbit is that like this is probably the only time that we're ever going to see like Bugs Bunny and Mickey Mouse like on the same screen. So and I thought that was amazing. I thought like wow, this is how you like combine combining both worlds. I think if they ever did a Marvel versus DC movie, I think that is the only way that you can like get close to like what they were doing with Who Framed Roger Rabbit. But yeah, anyway, I think this is a great movie, so I think it's definitely worth checking out. I'm not gonna tell you who Framed Roger Rabbit. I think that's a secret, but I would say like yeah, definitely worth checking this out. So happy 35th anniversary to Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Let's move on to June 23rd. So June 23rd, we have a couple of death anniversaries. So this is the first one is 25 years ago. This is June 23rd, 1998. We have the death of Maureen O'Sullivan. Maureen O'Sullivan's famous role was as Jane Parker in the Johnny Westmiller's Tarzan movies. So she played that role for 10 years between 1932 and 1942. Now, Johnny Weissmuller is probably the most famous in the silent film era of Tarzan because he's the one who created that. Oh, me Tarzan, you Jane. So and then yeah, so Maureen O'Sullivan, she lived a long life. So she was born in 1911. So she lived for 87 years. So she lived a good life. She died from complications related to heart surgery. And she's the mother of actress Mia Farrow. Mia Farrow, who later married Woody Allen and resulted in all of a scandal from that. So yeah, happy. Oh, sorry, no, just acknowledging the 25-year death anniversary of Maureen O'Sullivan. Yeah, and also another death anniversary on June 23rd. This was 10 years ago, June 23rd, 2013. Richard Matheson, who's a famous writer. So he wrote the novels I Am Legend, The Shrinking Man, Hell House. So also the stories like Nightmare at 20,000 Feet and also Steel. So all of these have been adapted into movies or TV shows. So you've probably seen them all at once in your point. And I think Matheson's a really good writer, and a lot of his like material still holds up today. So if you haven't read any of these books, I would definitely say check it out. Probably start with I Am Legend, since that's his most famous work. So it's not even like a long read. I think you can get it done in like a day or two. So acknowledging the 10-year death anniversary of Richard Matheson. Now let's move on to June 24th. This is 35 years ago, June 24th, 1988. We have the birth of actress Candice Patton. So Candice Patton, born in Jackson, Mississippi. So she's most famous for playing Iris West on the CW's The Flash. So, and that was a role that she played for like 9 years, from 2014 all the way to 2023. I think she's a good actress. She was good in that role. She hasn't really been in a lot of other stuff, so I can't really comment on like what her range is. But I liked her performance as Iris West. Obviously, she's very pretty. Now, now I should probably come up like Kiersey Clemons also played the Flash also played Iris West in the Flash movie that just came out. Now, yeah, I think, but it's kind of hard to compare the two, since like Candice Patton had like 9 years of like 9 years of her character, but and Kiersey Clemons only has like 5-10 minutes of screen time in the movie. But yeah, if you want to check it out, I can recommend checking her out in The Flash. Probably only check out the first few seasons of The Flash. After that, it kind of just nosedives and goes downhill. It did not need to run for 9 years, or 8 seasons. Like Flash definitely went on a way too long. I feel the same way with Arrow. Like a lot of these CW shows, they have great first seasons, mediocre second seasons, and then they kind of just like go downhill afterwards. So yeah, it's just. But anyway, happy 35th birthday to Candice Patton. All right, and then lastly we get to 10 years ago. This is also on June 24th, 2013. We have the release of the book A Long Way Home by Saru Briley. This was adapted into the movie called Lion, which I saw. It was nominated for Best Picture at the Oscars. I want to say it was like 2016, 2017. But yeah, so this was based off this book. So basically the story is that Saru Briley, right? He was an Indian kid. And then one day he got onto a train by mistake, and then he just like couldn't find his way home after that. So he was picked up by the police. Obviously back in those days, this was like the 80s, so they didn't know where to place him. So they send him to an orphanage, and then Saru ends up getting adopted by an Australian family. So from India, he gets taken to Australia, and that's where he lives like the rest of his life. Now, Saru is still like determined to like go home and find his way home, find out where he came from. So this entire book is like a memoir talking about like how he finds his life, how he keeps looking, and trying to see like who where he's from, like trying to find his Indian family. And obviously he succeeds, or else like there's no book to write about. But yeah, I think this is a good memoir, to read about that process, because I mean every day there's like missing children, and like many of them don't get reunited, but thankfully there is at least one story out there of a successful reunion. And also I recommend checking out the movie Lion. That too is a great movie. I was actually disappointed that didn't win Best Picture, because I think it was definitely better than whatever did win. I'm trying to think what did win that year. Was that the same year La La Land came out? Yeah, maybe. Okay, and anyway, that's it for today. So happy 10 years to A Long Way Home, and yeah. So okay, so anyway, that's it for this week's episode. So tune back in next week. We'll have another episode where we go back in time as well. Yeah, and remember, keep rewinding the timeline.